I'm Edwin Cantu, and this is Mentor Moments, insights from mentors, community leaders, authors, and friends. The topic of today's talk is the psychology of blank. So, this actually came from a book called The Psychology of Money. It's interesting because it kind of goes back to an initial conversation that we were having about do you want to be rich or do you want to be sexy? And so, in that book, they claimed about being rich, doing personal finance almost like solving for X. If you want to have this much, these are the steps that you should take to get there. Index funds, 401ks, all the things. And so this book, The Psychology of Money, actually makes the case that even though mathematically that may make sense, the experience that we have throughout the journey of our lives to get to that goal should be a little bit more important than just solving for X. And so I love that idea and the way that it applies to all these different areas in our lives. And so another conversation that recently came up that made me realize how widely applicable this idea is a conversation with my coworker. He grew up was doing a lot of powerlifting, and so he was around powerlifting communities, and they would do the cycles of bulking and cutting. And he said one of the most interesting things he found was some people needed to cut first before they could bulk because they psychologically didn't do well whenever they saw the weight go up or whenever they saw themselves gain a little bit of fat along with muscle. And it made me realize there's a psychology of everything, the psychology of fitness, the psychology of weight loss in that case, or the psychology of muscle building. I guess it's somewhere in those three. But realizing that the experience of what you are trying to accomplish is also going to be different based on who you are, your own psychology, your own experiences, your own upbringing, and needing to tailor a career plan, needing to tailor a personal finance plan needs to keep your psychology in mind. The same way with relationships. Every relationship is going to be different based on who you are as a person, the experiences that you like. And it's fairly simple and straightforward for us to think through that relationships are going to be different. But things like your educational plan, maybe you're the kind of person that really likes studying on your own, and you're almost a lone wolf in that you can study very deeply and very intensely and feel very fulfilled, while someone else in that same example may be feeling isolated. And while one person is driven and almost excited that they're allowed to excel without needing too many people around, someone else may be on a path that's leading to their educational detriment and that they're isolated. They want community. They want to be able to bounce ideas back and forth with professors or friends. And so understanding your own psychology of whatever arena you are looking to dive into, I think is critically and immensely helpful to keep in mind to ensure that the experience of the journey is just as nice as where the destination is. Because sometimes we focus quite a bit on the destination, but I think the experience of the journey and keeping you in mind is incredibly helpful. If what you're hearing is helpful, consider sending it to someone you think might appreciate it. Sharing the message is what really helps the channel grow. Okay, back to the topic. So again, the psychology of money, the psychology of weight loss, the psychology of education, the psychology of testing. For example, in testing, that's actually an arena that I felt really comfortable in. For whatever reason, my viewpoint was always kind of from the sports lens that practice is a lot of hard work, but the time to perform is game day. And so I would actually, and I think naturally, be really excited to perform on game day. While for other people, they do very, very well during practice because there's no stakes. But the moment that they know that this one day, this one exam is the pressure is on, they don't like the experience. And so knowing your own psychology is incredibly helpful because then you know how to prepare better. You know what people you may be able to relate to. And at first, yes, you may be the party needing a bit of guidance. But it can actually lead to a lot of deep and fulfilling relationships because being a bit vulnerable about your own psychology and what you're trying to accomplish in the way that you may be working against yourself in the present moment and speaking with someone about that may really allow them to explore their own world and explain to you how they were able to overcome it or how their psychology is a little bit different, and you can appreciate the nuances of each of y'all. And it's what makes connecting with people why we're social creatures and why we love connecting with one another. But it can lead to fulfilling relationships as well as getting better guidance to know how to prepare based on how your psychology works. Again, this is just one of those things that Having read that book and it come up in a few conversations, I wish I could have known this at 18 instead of almost 28 now. I think the relationships I would have had, I think my self awareness and the type of conversations and questions I would have had, and even my role in being mentored with the mentors that I was fortunate enough to have, I think I could have played a more effective role as the mentee, knowing what questions to ask, knowing how what they were saying, how to interpret it based on my own psychology. Again, whether it's weight loss, whether it's community, whether it's work, and obviously, like the book, The Psychology of Money. What do you think? Does this reflect your own experience? Let me know in the comments. And if you watched the whole episode, you might as well like the episode and subscribe to the channel. As always, thanks for listening.